What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, reviewing for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is Radioactive. Now, this one comes from Amazon Studios. It is directed by Marjane Satrapi, and this one stars Rosamund Pike as real-life person Marie Currie, and this is based on her incredible true story of creating radium and plutonium, her winning the Nobel Peace Prize twice, and seeing how her product is being used for good in terms of x-rays and CAT scans. And this is going to be way after her passing, but obviously the horrors that plutonium and radium have caused on people with like the Chernobyl explosion and just, atom bombs, H bombs, all that stuff. It's just she never was alive to see all that, but knowing that her element is both good and bad for society is a pretty interesting legacy to leave behind for sure. But she was an incredible person. Being a female scientist back in that time, late 1800s, early 1900s. It was a man's world, and she was just kind of doing her best. She didn't take any crap from anybody. I love that. She was just like, yeah, I'm going to create this stuff whether you like it or not. I don't really care if you support me or not. So she had that kind of attitude, that just kind of go get 'em, positive attitude to get whatever she wanted to get done, because she knew that her products could possibly reduce the size of tumors, and she really wanted to pursue that and do some good for the world. So, but yeah, going into it, I had no idea who Marie Curie was, because I'm dumb and I didn't pay attention in school. Chemistry, not really one of my favorite subjects, and so I'm sure we had a whole week, probably a whole month on the periodic table. We probably went down all the elements, the history behind them, and I'm sure this name was mentioned. And with my dumb self in high school, I probably just didn't pay attention, because my attention span is probably one of a hamster. So, yeah, so going into this blind then, because I didn't watch any trailers, didn't see any posters, I went into it blind because I was like, I just wanted to be open to this woman's world. I want to see, her work in the laboratory. I want to see her with her family. I just want to see her life. She was an incredible person from what I've read on, Wikipedia or something. Just kind of get a brief history before I watched the movie and after I watched it, to where I wanted to see it. I wanted to see how she worked and just how she was as a person. It just seemed like a really incredible story to tell about an incredible person. I heard a little bit about it from last year at some film festivals, but that's just my extent of it. So I saw it. It's fine. Unfortunately, this kind of screams TV movie for me. It doesn't feel cinematic at all. It just really feels like a really great movie you would play on television. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's kind of presented that way. And it will appear on Amazon Prime, this Friday, July 24th. So I guess that works. But it doesn't scream cinematic, this epic, scale story of this person and just her life and how rich it was. It's just it's there. It shows the important parts. It shows fragments of her life. But that's about it. So let's dive into this, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff at play and a lot of interesting stuff on paper, but I just don't think it's executed as well as the filmmakers think it is. So the movie starts out with her basically on her deathbed. And she's older at this point. I think it's in the 30s, I believe, 1930s. And so we then get to see her kind of reminisce on just her life. And so it showed a couple of clips of her interacting with Pierre Curie, played by Sam Riley. And it kept flipping back to the hospital. And then eventually it stayed on her memories. And that is the movie. So we're seeing a life flashes before the eyes type of scenario, which on paper sounds, pretty good. I mean, she's about to die, and it's kind of morbid if you think about it. But she's about to die, and we're seeing her life kind of play out. We're seeing all the stuff that she remembers, all the stuff she wants to remember before she passes. She wants to kind of comb through it and relive all the good and the bad of her life before she passes on. So like I said, on theory, or on paper, it sounds like it could be a pretty good idea. We get to see, her really kind of control the movie. Like, she's showing us as an audience member, like, what she, is thinking of in her last moments. And there's something kind of poetic about that. And, if you think about it that way, it sounds pretty sweet and heartbreaking at the same time. But I think the problem is this woman is so amazing, and she did a lot in her life. And I think doing the fragment approach in the kind of like flashes of memory approach is just not the way to go about it. This is a woman that has a deep, rich kind of life. You want to see all of that. I want to see a show based on this woman's life. I want to see a 3-hour-long movie instead of an hour and 49-minute movie based on this woman's life. And so I think it does a disservice when you're doing her story in fragments, just kind of showing the highlights. She's in the laboratory, and then, she created the element. She's nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and she found love and a working partner with Pierre. Oops, they're married. Oops, they have a kid. And it's just kind of like, all right, we got to hit these points. It's like a PowerPoint presentation, a glorified slideshow, and that's all we kind of get. There are a few moments where they kind of stand out more than others, but for the most part, it's just kind of like a basically told story, and I wanted more. Like, I wanted you to kind of explore this woman and her findings in the laboratory. Let me see how she actually works on all the elements, the trial and error, and just I want to see the whole process. I want to see more of her life and more with her kids. It just seems like, with someone that left a pretty interesting legacy behind, you would want to showcase it in the best way possible. I just thought this one was just kind of surface level storytelling. And I get why it was done, because it was presented that way at the very beginning, which I'm fine with. Consistency. But I just don't think it does her any favors telling it this way. Speaking of telling it in fragments and consistency, there is a vignette that's put on the outside of the frame sometimes. Makes sense. She is having her life flash before her eyes. It's getting kind of hazy. Her life is literally dwindling right before her. So I get that you would have like a vignette, like the black kind of curves on the corners of the screens. That makes total sense to have. But consistency is the name of the game, folks. There are some shots that have it. There are some shots that don't. Now, someone could make the argument like, the vignette shots are her memory. That's what she remembers only. And then everything that doesn't have it is just for us. I guess that's fine, but why would you do it that way? Because there are several scenes in this movie within the same, 20 seconds of each other. It's a conversation between two people, or it's someone walking into the exterior shot of a scene and it's carrying on from that point. There are some shots that are cut with a vignette, and then it cuts back to a normal widescreen look, and then it goes back to the vignette, then back to maybe 2 shots of the widescreen, then back to a vignette. It's not consistent, and so it's more distracting than anything. I get the idea of it. I totally do. But it's like I said, more distracting than anything. And if you're going to do it, you should have just stuck with it and just made the whole thing a vignette. I mean, because I'd rather have it either like that or no vignette at all, rather than hopping back and forth like that. It just doesn't look right. And so, once again, I get the idea behind it. It could possibly mean that that's all we're seeing from her memory, and then the rest is just for us. But I don't know. It just it doesn't look right on a visual front, and it's just kind of confusing. So either one or the other. The overall color palette of this movie is kind of weird. It's very toned down, very kind of flat, and it makes the sets and it makes the production design look flat as well, and it doesn't look like a very lively environment anywhere these characters go. And so I think that also kind of adheres to the TV movie approach. I just wanted to point that out. It kind of bothered me. It's just kind of like this gray, greenish kind of like tint over mostly the entire movie, and it just I don't know. It's not appealing, and it just really kind of makes your movie a little lifeless. But you know what? I think overall, I didn't have a problem watching this movie. Like, it was completely fine. And I think by the end of it, I think the biggest thing for me is I wanted more. I wanted more of this woman's story. I want to see everything. And so I like the like I said, the interesting legacy that she left behind with these elements, and how, it's used for good in society today. And it's also had some really horrific events happen in our society. But, those moments when they happen on screen, because this movie does kind of jump ahead in time a little bit, I don't think they're as powerful, because we're just kind of showcasing them really quick, and like, that's it. And, and I'm sure someone in the comments is like, well, just go watch shows like Chernobyl if you want an in-depth on that event. I totally get that, but when you put it in this movie, in this context, I kind of just wish they would make something a little bit longer to showcase like specific times in history when radium and plutonium were used. It might have more of an emotional impact as you're watching it, so when these events happen, they could hit you a little harder. So that's all I'm asking for. And the last thing before I end this review, and I think it's the perfect way to end it, is that the performances overall are fine, but Rosamund Pike is pretty dang good. Now, I've always liked her and whatever she pops in, and I think her taking control of this character and taking command of the screen is just totally great. She really kind of has this power about her when she's on screen. She has this presence, and I think when you're dealing with someone who is so determined to get stuff done, is a workaholic, like, you need someone that is kind of like that, confident and direct on screen, and Rosamund Pike does that. But she also has a lot of stuff that she buries away. She has a lot of stuff that she hides. She doesn't like to show her emotional wall that much. I think she has kind of like that mindset, it makes her weak and all that stuff. She doesn't want to be perceived that way because she is in the science field, and she doesn't want people to bully her. So she kind of, once again, she just buries all those emotions. But when there's stuff that happens, like with her kids or her husband, you can definitely tell that, yeah, her work is important, but her family is even more important. And it really kind of shows you the level of love that she has towards her close circle of friends and family. So I think that performance really kind of exercises that, and you just get to see it all in her body language, her facial acting. It's all there. I absolutely liked her performance in this film, and it carries the movie for sure. And I think that's why I'm going to give it that uptick in the grade. But if there was anyone else cast in this film as Marie Currie, I don't think it would have worked as well. Rosamund Pike is good to watch in this movie. So those are my overall thoughts on the film. One final thing. Sam Riley plays Pierre Currie, her husband in the film. And then who is the other gentleman that plays her friend? I forgot. They have some of the worst facial hair I've seen in the movie in quite some time. It's obviously fake hair, and when it sticks on their face, it like has that like plastic kind of glow to it. It's just absolutely hilarious. So it doesn't really make or break the movie for me. I thought that was a funny little tidbit, like, oh, his mustache, oh, his beard, that's not real hair. So it could have been blended a little bit better, but it's neither here nor there. It doesn't really affect it. So. But yes, I'm going to give this one a C+. I think if you're in the mood for a biography or something on Marie Currie's life, give this one a watch. It's breezy. It, gets in, gets out, and you'll move on about your day. But I don't think it's going to leave a big impact. And hopefully stuff like this, if it is popular on Amazon Prime this weekend, maybe we'll get a series. Maybe we'll get something else and something that can topple this one and be the true story of Marie Currie for sure. So But yeah, this one's not bad. You can go into it, don't expect much, and you might be blown away, or you might not, but let me know down below what you think of Radioactive if you watch it on Amazon Prime this weekend. If you are watching this review on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that way you can get updates on whatever I review. If you're more of a podcast person and you don't want to see my ugly mug, I have all these in audio form as well on my Reel Me In: a Movie podcast feed. I'm everywhere, Castbox, Anchor, Spotify. Just search it up. You'll find it if you're more of an audio person. But that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.